1 month after the hostage rescue, Kim-dae walked through the station corridors and noticed how different everything felt.
Right.
Beings who used to whisper and point now nodded respectfully when they saw him. He had become known as the human who spoke truth to power and changed the fate of a wrongly accused hero. But the biggest change was in his evening companion. Miraleth no longer hid in the shadows of the observation deck. She sat in the center chairs now, comfortable in her own skin for the first time in 3 years. New uniform bore the rank insignia of Senior Military Advisor, a position the council had created especially for her. The metal discs still hung around her neck, but now they seemed less like chains and more like reminders of how far she had come. The rescue mission reports came in today, Miraleth said, as Day joined her with their usual evening tea. All 800 hostages recovered. Safely. No casualties among the rescue teams. Day smiled as he settled into his chair. Her tactical plan had worked perfectly. The narrow passage through the asteroid field had allowed the strike teams to approach undetected, while the main fleet provided distraction. The passenger liner had been secured, and the attackers captured within 4 hours of the new plan's implementation. Commander Thane stopped by my office this afternoon, Miraleth continued. He wanted to apologize for the way he treated me. He also asked if I would help train his tactical teams. What did you tell him? I said yes. Everyone deserves a chance to learn and grow, even stubborn old warriors who are too proud to admit when they are wrong. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the familiar dance of cargo ships and transport vessels outside the windows. The view had not changed, but everything else had. Miraleth was no longer a ghost haunting the edges of station life. She was a respected member of the community with important work to do and colleagues who valued her expertise. The Veltar delegation sent a message yesterday, she said quietly. They want me to return to active duty with the border guard. Full. Rank restored, honor intact, my place in the pack waiting for me. Day felt a stab of sadness at the thought of losing his friend. But he also felt happiness for her. This was what she had dreamed of for 3 years, the chance to go home and reclaim her old life. Will you go? He asked. Miraleth was quiet for a long moment. She sipped her tea and looked out at the stars that had been her companions during the long nights of exile. I thought I would, she said finally. For 3 years, going home was the only thing I wanted. But now I am not sure that is the right choice. Why not? Because I am not the same person who left. It's the experiences I have had here, the friends I have made, the work I do with the council. These things have changed me. I am still Veltar. But I am also something more now, something that did not exist before I was cast out. She turned to look at him with those sharp yellow eyes that had once seemed so fierce and dangerous. Now they just looked wise and sad and hopeful all at the same time. I have found a new kind of pack here, she said. Beings from different worlds who judge each other by actions instead of birth or politics, the council staff who bring me reports and ask my advice, the young officers who want to learn tactics, the maintenance workers who nod hello when they see me in the corridors, even the diplomatic observers who share tea and honest conversation. Day understood what she meant. The station had become her home in ways that went deeper than just having a place to sleep. She'd built a life here, relationships that mattered, work that had meaning. Your old pack cast you out for doing what was right, Day said. But you have found a new pack that values you for the same reason. Yes, and I think I would rather stay with beings who chose to accept me than return to ones who only want me back because it is politically convenient, as if summoned by her words. The observation deck doors opened and several familiar faces appeared. Dr. Ewan from the medical bay waved as she settled into a chair with her evening reports. Chief Engineer Kowalski nodded respectfully as he passed through on his way to the night shift. Even Council Leader Vextar stopped by to discuss the next day's agenda before heading to his quarters. What had once been Miraleth's lonely refuge had become a gathering place for the station's night shift workers. Beings came here to relax after long days, to share quiet conversation, to find a moment of peace under the stars. And at the center of it all sat the former exile who had become the heart of their informal community. I made my decision this morning, Miraleth said. I sent a message to the Veltar delegation thanking them for the offer but declining to return. I told them I have found my place in the galaxy, and it is here. Day felt relief wash over him. He had not realized how much he had feared losing his friend until she told him she was staying. What will you do now? He asked. The same thing I have always done. Protect innocent beings and serve the cause of justice. But now I do it with the support of people who understand what those words really mean. She reached up and touched the metal discs around her neck. For 3 years they had been reminders of loss and failure. Now they were something different. Used to keep these to remember what I lost, she said. Now I keep them to remember what I learned. That sometimes you have to lose everything to discover who you really are. And sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the one you were born into. As the evening wore on and the night shifts settled into their routines, Day watched his friend interact with the other beings who had come to respect and care for her. She offered tactical advice to a young security officer. She shared stories of her home world with a xenobiologist studying Veltar culture. She listened patiently to complaints from a maintenance worker having trouble with his supervisor. This was what humans were good at, Day realized. Not just seeing people for who they really were, but helping them see it too. Helping them find their place in a galaxy that could be cold and cruel and lonely. I'll thank you, Miraleth said, as the evening wound down and beings began heading back. To their quarters? For what? For speaking my true name when I had forgotten it myself. For seeing the person I was underneath the shame others tried to force on me. For giving me back my place in the world. Day smiled and finished the last of his tea. That is what friends do. They remind each other who they really are when the world tries to make them forget. As they walked back through the station corridors, together, Day thought about the journey that had brought them both to this point. A lonely human diplomat and an exiled alien warrior had found each other in the darkness between stars. They had shared tea and honest words, and the simple gift of recognition. And in doing so, they had proven that sometimes the most powerful weapon against despair is the courage to see one else's true heart and speak their real name with love. The observation deck lights dimmed as the night cycle began, but the stars outside burned as bright as ever. Somewhere among them, other beings were searching for their place in the galaxy. Other outcasts were learning that exile did not have to mean the end of hope, and in the morning Miraleth would be there to help them find their way home. The transport ship docked at Nexus Station with a soft thud. Dr. Junho Park gathered his medical bag and stepped off the ship into the busy station corridors. He had traveled for 2 weeks to get here. The message from Commander Veltar had been short but urgent. They needed a human doctor. They needed him. John was not like most human doctors. While others focused on treating humans, he spent his time studying alien biology. He had worked with ethereal light healing. He had learned resonant crystal medicine. He even understood how synthesis biomachines worked. Other humans thought he was strange for wanting to learn alien ways. But Junho believed that all life was connected. All healing came from the same place. The station was huge. Corridors stretched in every direction. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked past him. Some floated in the air. Others rolled on wheels. A few crawled on the walls. Junho had seen many alien species before. But Nexus Station had more variety than anywhere else in the galaxy. He found his way to the medical center. The building was 10 stories tall and made of white metal that glowed softly. Inside the halls were filled with the sounds of healing. Machines beeped and hummed. Doctors spoke in dozens of different languages. Patients from across the galaxy waited for treatment. Commander Veltar met him at the main desk. The tall blue alien looked tired. His forearms moved constantly as he talked, a sign that he was nervous. Dr. Park, thank you for coming so quickly, Veltar said. His voice was deep and formal. We have a situation that requires your expertise. Kind of situation? Junho asked. He had worked with alien diseases before, but something in the commander's tone worried him. A human patient. She has been here for 3 months. No one can help her. No one can even get close to her. Veltar started walking toward the elevator. She has what we call the Void Plague. Destroys everything it touches. Junho followed him into the elevator. As they went up, Veltar explained what had happened. The exploration team, the artifact, the infection, the failed attempts to heal. With each floor they passed, Junho felt more interested and more worried. "Hey, show me her medical records," Junho said. Veltar handed him a datapad. Junho read through the files as they walked. The information was detailed but confusing. Every test showed something different. Her blood work changed every day. Her brain scans showed patterns that made no sense. Most strange of all, the energy. Readings around her body formed shapes that looked almost like mathematics. "Has anyone tried to communicate with the energy?" Junho asked. Veltar stopped walking. His forearms froze in place. "Communicate with it? Doctor, this is a plague. It is not intelligent. It only destroys." "But look at these patterns," Junho pointed to the datapad. "They are not random. See how they repeat. See how they change when she sleeps versus when she is awake. This looks like someone trying to talk. That is impossible," Veltar said. Latera could hear doubt in his voice. They reached the quarantine wing. The halls here were different from the rest of the medical center. The walls were thicker. The air smelled of cleaning chemicals. Most of the rooms were empty. Only the most dangerous patients were kept here. Dr. Draconin was waiting for them. He was the chief medical officer, a member of the Titan race. People were known for being the strongest and toughest in the galaxy. But even he looked nervous. "You should not be here, human," Draconin said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "This plague will kill you in seconds. It has defeated our best healers." "That is exactly why I need to be here," Junho replied. "You have all tried to heal her using your own methods. But maybe you need to try something different." "Different how?" Draconin asked. "Maybe you need to try the human way." The three of them stood outside quarantine room 7. Through the thick glass window, Junho could see Hannah lying on the bed. She looked so small and alone. Her skin was pale. Dark circles surrounded her eyes, but she was alive. After 3 months of this plague, she was still alive. "That should tell you something," Junho said. "If this energy really wanted to kill her, she would be dead by now. But she is not dead. She is changed, but she is alive. The energy is keeping her alive to spread itself," Draconin said. "It is using her as a host." "Or it is trying to help her," Joho suggested. "What if this is not a plague at all? What if it is something else?" Veltar and Draconin looked at each other. In all their years of medicine, they had never heard a theory like this. "I want to go in there," Junho said. "Absolutely not," Draconin replied quickly. "Then just let me observe her for a while. Let me study the patterns. Maybe I can see something you missed." They agreed to let him watch from outside the room. Junho pulled up a chair and sat by the window. For the next 6 hours, he watched Hannah and took notes. He watched how she moved. He watched how the energy around her changed. He watched the machines that monitored her condition. Slowly, he began to see what the others had missed. The energy was not attacking her. It was responding to her. When she was calm, the energy was calm. When she seemed upset, the energy became more active. When she slept, the energy formed gentle, flowing patterns. When she was awake and afraid, the energy became sharp and dangerous. It was like watching someone try to learn a new language. The energy was trying to match her emotions. It was trying to understand her, but it did not know how to do it safely. Every time it tried to connect with her, it caused damage because it was too strong. Junho also noticed something else. Energy was not just inside Hannah. It was all around her. It flowed through the air like invisible rivers. It touched everything in the room, but it did not destroy everything. Some things were damaged, yes, but other things were changed in different ways. The metal walls of her room were not corroding. They were becoming stronger. The plastic chair by her bed was not melting. It was becoming more flexible. Even the plants that the botanical doctors had left in her room were not all dead. Some had turned black, but others had grown larger and stronger than before. "It is not destroying everything," Junho said to himself. "It is trying to improve everything, but it does not know how." When evening came, Draconin returned to check on him. Have you learned anything useful? The Titan doctor asked. Yes, Junho said. I think I know what this energy really is. I think I know why none of your healing methods worked. Tell me, this energy is not a plague. It is a consciousness. It is intelligent. It is trying to communicate with Hannah, but it does not understand her biology. Every time it tries to help her, it hurts her instead, because it is too powerful. Draconin was quiet for a long time. Even if you are right, what can we do? We cannot communicate with it. We cannot control it. We cannot, Junho said. But maybe I can. How? Because I am human. And humans, we are good at talking to things that are different from us. We are good at making friends with things that others fear. Junho turned back to the window. Inside the room, Hannah was awake. She was staring at the ceiling, counting cracks like she did every day. But now Junho could see the energy around her. It moved like it was trying to comfort her, like it was trying to tell her she was not alone. I want to go in there tomorrow, Junho said. Dr. Park, that is suicide. Maybe, or maybe it is the first step toward healing her. Draconin looked at the human doctor. Humans were so young compared to other species. They had only been in space for a few decades. Their medicine was primitive. Their technology was basic. But there was something about them that other species did not have. They had hope when everyone else had given up. I will consider it, Draconin said finally. But first, you must prove to me that you understand what you are risking. I understand. Perfectly, Junho replied. I am risking my life to save hers. That is what doctors do. As Junho walked back to his temporary quarters, he thought about what he had learned. The energy was not evil. It was lost. It was trying to help, but did not know how. It needed someone to teach it, someone to guide it, someone to show it how to be gentle. Tomorrow, he would try to be that someone. The morning light in Nexus Station was artificial, but it still marked the beginning of a new day. Ginho had not slept well. He kept thinking about Hannah and the energy that lived inside her. He had spent hours reading every report, every test. Result, every failed attempt at healing her. Today was the day he would try something no other doctor had attempted. Today he would enter her room. Commander Veltar and Dr. Draconin were waiting for him outside the quarantine wing. Both aliens looked worried. Behind them stood a crowd of other doctors and medical staff. Word had spread that the human doctor was going to attempt the impossible. Are you certain about this? Veltar asked. His forearms moved nervously. Certain as I can be, Junho replied. He carried only basic medical equipment, no special machines, no protective energy fields. Just simple human tools and his own courage. The protective suits are ready, Draconin said, pointing to a row of heavy metal suits that looked like armor. Jono shook his head. No suits, no barriers. If I am right about this energy being intelligent, then hiding behind armor will make it think I am a threat. But if you are wrong, you will die in seconds, Draconin said. Then I will die trying to help another human being, Junho answered. That is better than letting her die alone. The other doctors whispered among themselves. Some thought the human was brave, others thought he was foolish. All of them thought he was about to die. Junho walked to the door of quarantine room 7. At the window, he could see Hannah lying on her bed. She looked so tired, so alone. The energy around her moved in slow, sad patterns. Open the door, Junho said. Dr. Park, please reconsider, Veltar pleaded. Open the door. The commander pressed a button. The heavy door slid open with a soft hiss. Immediately, alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed in the hallway. The other doctors stepped back, afraid of what might happen. Jansa took his first step into the room. The moment his foot crossed the threshold, everything changed. The energy that had been moving slowly around Hannah suddenly became active. It swirled through the air like invisible smoke. The temperature in the room dropped. The lights flickered. But Junho did not die. He stood in the doorway for a moment, feeling the energy flow around him. It was cold, but not painful. It touched his skin like curious fingers. It seemed to be studying him, trying to understand what he was. Hello, Junho said softly. I am here to help.
What?
The energy paused. For a moment, the room became completely still. Then the energy began to move again, but differently now. Instead of the sharp, dangerous movements the other doctors had seen, it flowed in gentle curves. Junho took another step into the room, then another. The monitoring equipment outside showed impossible readings. The energy levels that should have killed him were instead stabilizing. The chaotic patterns were becoming organized. Hannah heard footsteps and turned her head. When she saw Junho, her eyes went wide with fear. Stay away. Stay away. I will kill you. I kill everything I touch. You're not going to kill me, Junho said calmly. He walked closer to her bed. Down. You are not killing anything on purpose. Something is living with you, and it is trying to help, but it does not know how. You do not understand, Hannah said. Tears ran down her face. I am a monster now. The doctors told me so. I have a plague that destroys everything. The doctors were wrong, Junho said. He pulled the chair next to her bed and sat down. The other medical staff watching through the window gasped. No one had been able to sit that close to her for 3 months. How are you doing this? Hannah asked. How are you not dying? Because I am not trying to fight what is inside you, Junho explained. I am trying to understand it. He reached into his medical bag and pulled out a simple device. It was just a basic scanner that measured energy patterns. When he pointed it at Hannah, the readings showed something amazing. The chaotic energy that had defeated every alien healer was organizing itself into clear mathematical patterns. Look at this, Junho said, showing her the scanner. This energy is not random. It is thinking. It is trying to communicate. Hannah stared at the device. The patterns on the screen looked like music written in numbers. They rose and fell like waves. They repeated like songs. What is it trying to say? She asked. I think it is trying to say that it is sorry, Junho said. I think it has been alone for a very long time. When it found you, it wanted to help you, but it did not know how to be gentle. As if responding to his words, the energy in the room began to pulse with a warm, golden light. It was nothing like the cold, dark energy the other doctors had described. This light felt kind. It felt sad. It felt lonely. Can you hear me? Junho asked, speaking to the energy itself. The light pulsed. Once, then twice, then 3 times. It is counting, Hannah whispered. It understands numbers. Junho smiled. Can you count to 10? He asked the energy. The light pulsed 10 times, each pulse perfectly timed. It is intelligent, Junho said. It has been trying to talk to you for 3 months, but no one was listening. Outside the room, the other doctors watched in amazement. Commander Veltar spoke into his communication device, calling other medical staff to witness what was happening. Dr. Draconin recorded everything, knowing that no one would believe this without proof. Why can you do this when they could not? Hannah asked. Because they were trying to cure you, Junho said. No. They saw the energy as a disease to be removed. But I see it as a person to be understood. He reached out slowly toward Hannah's hand. She pulled away quickly. Do not touch me, she said. I will hurt you. You will not hurt me, Junho said. Because you do not want to hurt me. And the energy inside you can feel that. Very slowly, he reached out again. This time, Hannah did not pull away. When his fingers touched hers, something beautiful happened. The energy flowed between them like warm water. Junho could suddenly feel what Hannah felt. The loneliness, the fear, the sadness of being cut off from everyone she cared about. But he could also feel something else. The presence that lived with her now, it was ancient and powerful, but also gentle and kind. Images flashed through both their minds. They saw a vast crystal city among the stars. They saw beings of pure energy who had lived for millions of years. They saw the last of these beings putting itself into the crystal, waiting for someone to find it and give it a new home. It is not a plague, Junho said, still holding Hannah's hand. It is a refugee. It is the last of its people, and it has been waiting for centuries for someone who could understand it. The energy around them glowed brighter. For the first time since the infection began, Hannah felt warm. She felt safe. She felt like she was not alone anymore. "What does it want?" she asked. "It wants to belong somewhere. It wants to have friends. It wants to help others instead of hurting them." Outside the room, alarms were still sounding, but now they were different alarms. The medical sensors were detecting something they had never seen before. Instead of the destructive energy that had been killing everything in Hannah's room, they were now reading healing energy. The kind of energy that made plants grow and wounds close. "Dr. Park," came Veltar's voice through the room's communication system, "the energy readings have completely changed." "What did you do?" Junho looked at Hannah, who was smiling for the first time in months. "We made a friend," he said. News of what happened in quarantine, Room 7 spread through Nexus Station like wildfire. Within hours, doctors from every species came to see for themselves. They stood outside the room, watching in amazement as Junho and Hannah worked together with the energy. The energy had a name now. Through the connection they shared, it had shown them images of what its people called it. The closest human word was keeper. It had been the guardian of knowledge for an ancient race called the Builders. "Tell me about your people," Junho said. Still holding Hannah's hand, connection between all three of them was growing stronger each hour. Images flowed through their minds. They saw the Builders as they once were, tall, graceful beings who looked like they were made of starlight. They had created wonders across the galaxy, cities that floated in space, gardens that grew on dead planets, machines that could heal any injury or illness. But the Builders had made one mistake. They had grown too powerful too quickly. Their own creations had turned against them. A war had broken out that lasted for thousands of years. In the end, the Builders had lost everything. The Keeper was their last hope, Hannah said, tears in her eyes as she saw the ancient memories. They put all their knowledge into it, all their wisdom, all their love. The Keeper had been hidden in the crystal on Kepler 4 to be waiting for someone worthy to find it. It had waited alone for millions of years, watching civilizations rise and fall, hoping that someday it would find a new people to share its gifts with. "Why did it choose me?" Hannah asked. The answer came not in words, but in feelings. The Keeper had felt her kindness when she first approached the crystal. It had sensed her desire to help others. It had recognized in her the same spirit that had once driven the Builders to create beautiful things, but the Keeper was old and damaged. It had forgotten how to be gentle. When it tried to bond with Hannah, it had nearly destroyed her. Only her human strength and stubbornness had kept her alive long enough for help to arrive. "It has been trying to fix me," Hannah said, "but it does not understand human biology." That is why the other healers failed, Junho realized. They were trying to remove the Keeper from you, but it does not want to be removed. It wants to work with you. Through their connection, Junho began to understand the Keeper's true nature. It was not just a consciousness. It was a living library. It contained the medical knowledge of the Builders, who had been master healers. They had known how to cure diseases that still plagued the galaxy. They had understood the secrets of life itself. "The Keeper wants to help people," Junho said. "That is why it was created. But it needs to learn how to work with living beings again." For the next few days, the three of them worked together. Junho used his medical knowledge to help the Keeper understand human biology. Hannah used her connection with the Keeper to help. It controls its power. And the Keeper shared its ancient wisdom with both of them. The changes were amazing. The dark energy that had once destroyed everything became a healing force. Plants that had died in Hannah's room began to grow again. The walls that had been damaged became stronger than before. Even the air in the room felt cleaner and fresher. "We need to test this," Dr. Draconin said during one of his daily visits. "If this energy can really heal, we need to see how it works on other patients." Junho and Hannah agreed. They were brought to a special medical bay, where the most difficult cases were kept. Patients who had been given up for dead. Diseases that had no known cure. Injuries that would never heal. The first patient was a young ethereal who had lost his light in an accident. His people had tried everything, but he remained dark and lifeless. When Hannah placed her hand on his forehead, the Keeper's energy flowed into him. Slowly, gently. His inner light began to glow again. The second patient was a resident whose crystal body had been shattered in a mining accident, where people had tried to repair her, but some pieces were too damaged to heal. The keeper's energy flowed around her like liquid light, rebuilding her crystal structure from the inside out. Patient after patient, the results were the same. Diseases that had puzzled galactic medicine for centuries were cured in minutes. Injuries that should have been permanent were healed completely. Even genetic disorders that people had been born with were corrected. "This is impossible," Dr. Drakonin said, but his voice was filled with wonder rather than doubt. "The Builders were the greatest healers in galactic history," Junho explained. "They understood life in ways we never have. The Keeper carries all their knowledge." But there was one important difference. The Builders had used their knowledge to create machines and tools. The Keeper, working through Hannah and guided by Junho, used something much more powerful. It used human compassion. Energy responds to emotion, Hannah discovered. When I feel love for the patient, the healing is stronger. When I feel hope, the energy works faster. And when I feel determined to help, it can cure things that seemed impossible. This was something the advanced alien races had never understood. They had focused on technology and logic. They had forgotten the power of caring about others. But humans had never forgotten that. Even in their advanced space age, they still healed with their hearts as much as their minds. "The combination is perfect," Junho said. "Ancient knowledge guided by human emotion, powerful technology controlled by human compassion." The other doctors began to understand why their healing attempts had failed. They had approached the Keeper as a problem to be solved, but it was not a problem. It was a partner. It needed to be welcomed, not fought. It needed to be understood, not controlled. "Can other humans learn to do this?" Commander Veltar asked. "I think so," Junho said, "but it will take time. The Keeper needs to learn about each person it works with. Each person needs to learn to trust it." As word spread through the galaxy, more patients began arriving at Nexus Station. People who had been told they would never get better, families who had lost hope, entire species that had been dying from plagues and genetic diseases, and one by one, they were healed. The Keeper was finally fulfilling its purpose. It was helping people again. It was using the knowledge of the Builders to make life better for everyone. But now, it was doing it in a new way. It was doing it with human heart. "They're not just healing bodies," Hannah said as she watched a family reunite with their cured child. "We are healing souls. We are giving people hope again." Junho nodded. Builders created amazing technology. But they forgot the most important thing. They forgot that healing is not just about fixing what is broken. It is about caring for what is precious. The Keeper pulsed with warm agreement. It had found its new people. It had found its new purpose. It was no longer alone. 3 weeks had passed since the first successful healing. Nexus Station had become the busiest medical center in the galaxy. Ships arrived daily carrying patients from every corner of known space. The impossible was happening every day, and everyone wanted to witness it. Jayuna sat in his new office, reading reports from across the galaxy. The news was spreading fast. Diseases that had killed millions were being cured. Genetic disorders that had plagued entire species for generations were being fixed. The medical revolution they had started was changing everything. But with great change came great questions. Dr. Park, Commander Veltar said as he entered the office. "The Galactic Medical Council wants to meet with you. They have concerns." Junho was not surprised. The old ways of medicine were being challenged. Doctors who had spent centuries learning alien healing techniques were seeing their methods become outdated overnight. Some were excited about the new possibilities. Others were worried about losing their importance. What kind of concerns? They want to understand how the healing works. They want to study the Keeper. They want to create machines that can do what Hannah does. Junho shook his head. That will not work. The Keeper is not just a tool, it is a living consciousness. Chooses to work with us because we treat it as a friend, not a slave. But surely we can learn its methods, Veltar said. We can create artificial versions of its healing energy. The builders tried that, Junho said. That is why they fell. They created machines to do everything for them. They forgot that some things require a living heart to work properly. Now, this was the lesson the galaxy was struggling to learn. For thousands of years, alien civilizations had focused on building better technology. They had created amazing machines that could do incredible things, but they had lost touch with the simple power of caring about each other. Humans were different. Even as they had developed space travel and advanced medicine, they had never stopped believing that healing came from the heart as much as from the mind. They still held hands with sick patients, still comforted grieving families, still believed that love could cure what medicine could not. The Keeper responds to that, Junho explained to a gathering of alien doctors. It was created by people who understood that true healing requires both knowledge and compassion. When we approach it with love and respect, it shares its gifts freely. When we try to force it or control it, it withdraws.
Dr. Hannah had become something new.
She was no longer just human, but she was not alien either. Keeper had changed. Her on a fundamental level. Cells could now process energy in ways that should have been impossible. Her mind could access memories that were millions of years old. Her hands could channel healing power that seemed like magic. But the most important change was in her heart. The loneliness and fear that had consumed her for months were gone. In their place was a deep sense of purpose and connection. She was no longer alone because she carried the memories of an entire civilization. She was no longer afraid because she knew she was helping others in ways no one had ever helped before. The hardest part is learning to control it, Hannah told a group of human volunteers who had come to learn from her. The Keeper wants to heal everything at once. It sees all the pain in the galaxy and wants to fix it immediately. But healing takes time. It takes patience. The volunteers were carefully selected humans who had shown the right combination of medical knowledge and emotional intelligence. Not everyone could work with the Keeper. It required a special kind of person. Someone who could be strong enough to handle ancient power, but gentle enough to use it wisely. Why only humans? Asked Dr. Zira, an ethereal healer who had been studying their methods. Why does the Keeper not respond to other species the same way? Junho had been thinking about this question for weeks. It studied the brain patterns of different alien species. He had analyzed their emotional responses. He had compared their healing philosophies. I think it is because humans are still young, he said finally. Other species have had millions of years to develop their civilizations. They have become very advanced, but they have also become very specialized. Each species has focused on their own unique abilities. But humans are generalists, Hannah added. Try to learn from everyone. We adapt to any situation. We have not forgotten how to be curious about things that are different from us. This was the key insight. The Keeper had been created by the Builders, who had also been generalists. They had studied every form of life in the galaxy. They had learned from every species they met. They had combined all this knowledge into their healing arts. Most modern alien species had forgotten how to do this. The ethereals only understood light-based healing. The resonants only worked with crystal harmonics. Synthesists only created biomechanical solutions. Each species had become expert in their own methods, but had stopped learning from others. Humans were different. They had only been in space for a few decades, so they had not had time to become narrow specialists. They were still trying to learn everything they could from every species they met. This openness, this curiosity, this willingness to try new things was exactly what the Keeper had been looking for. The Builders fell because they became too proud. The Keeper shared through its connection with Hannah. They thought their knowledge made them better than other species. They stopped learning. They stopped growing. They stopped caring about anyone but themselves. But you humans are different. The ancient consciousness continued to ask questions. You want to understand. You care about others, even when they are not like you. This is why I chose to work with you. As more humans learned to work with the Keeper, they began to discover new possibilities. The healing energy could do more than cure diseases. It could help plants grow in hostile environments. It could clean polluted water. It could even repair damaged machines by understanding their purpose and fixing what was broken. We are not just doctors anymore, Junho realized. We are gardeners of life itself. The galaxy was beginning to change in ways no one had expected. Planets that had been dying were coming back to life. Species that had been enemies were working together to help with the healing efforts. Old prejudices were being forgotten as everyone focused on the miracle of what was being accomplished. This is what the builders wanted, Hannah said as she watched. A ship full of former enemies working together to bring medical supplies to a plague-stricken world. They wanted all species to work together. They wanted the galaxy to be a place where everyone helped everyone else. Now it is happening, Gunho said. It's not because of advanced technology, but because of simple human kindness. The Keeper pulsed with joy. After millions of years of loneliness, it was finally seeing its creator's dream come true. The galaxy was becoming a better place, one healed patient at a time. 6 months had passed since Junho first entered quarantine room 7. Nexus Station had grown from a simple medical center into the most important place in the galaxy. Ships arrived every day from the furthest reaches of space, carrying patients who had traveled for months just for a chance at healing. But today was different. Today, Hannah faced the most important choice of her life. The Galactic Medical Council had finally developed a procedure that could separate her from the Keeper. After months of study, they had learned enough about the ancient consciousness to safely remove it from her body. She could go back to being completely human. She could have a normal life again. You do not have to decide right now, Dr. Draconin said as he explained the procedure. We can wait as long as you need. Hannah sat quietly in her room, which was no longer a quarantine cell, but a comfortable living space. The walls were covered with plants that grew stronger and more beautiful because of the Keeper's presence. Sunlight streamed through windows that showed a view of the galaxy beyond. What do you want me to do? She asked the Keeper through their connection. The answer came as it always did, not in words, but in feelings. The Keeper was content to stay with her, but it would not force her to keep it. It had learned from the mistakes of the builders. It would not take away someone's choice, even if that choice meant loneliness again. If I let them separate us? What will happen to you? Hannah asked. The Keeper showed her images of what it had planned. It could survive on its own, but it would need to find a new way to help people. Perhaps it could work with the computers on Nexus Station. Perhaps it could teach others what it knew. It would find a way to continue its mission of healing, even without a human partner. But both of them knew that nothing would be quite the same. The healing they did together was special because it combined ancient knowledge with human emotion. Without that connection, the Keeper could share information, but it could not channel the same kind of healing energy. Gensho found her sitting by the window, watching the ships come and go. Have you decided? He asked. I keep thinking about what? The Keeper showed me, Hannah said. The memories of the builders. They had such beautiful dreams. They wanted to help everyone in the galaxy. They wanted to bring peace and healing to every world. But they failed, Junho said. They became too proud and too powerful. Yes, but their dream was still beautiful, Hannah replied. And now we have a chance to make that dream come true, but we can do it the right way. We can do it with humility and compassion instead of pride and power. She stood up and walked to her desk, where dozens of letters waited for her. They were from patients she had healed, thanking her for giving them their lives back. They were from families who had been reunited with loved ones they thought they had lost forever. They were from entire worlds that had been saved from plagues and disasters. All these people, Hannah said, all these lives that are better because of what we can do together. How can I give that up? But what about your life? Junho asked. What about your own dreams and desires? Hannah smiled. This is my dream now. Being connected to the Keeper has shown me things I never imagined. I have seen the birth of stars and the growth of civilizations. I have felt the joy of countless beings when they are healed and made whole again.
Ow.
I have experienced love on a scale that most people cannot imagine. But you are no longer fully human, Junho said gently. No, I am not. Hannah agreed. But I am something new. Something that has never existed before. I am a bridge between what was and what could be. The next day, She gave her answer to the medical council. I choose to stay bonded with the Keeper, she said. But I want to do it on new terms. I want to complete the symbiosis properly this time. This meant allowing the Keeper to finish the changes it had started months ago. But now, instead of the painful, chaotic transformation that had nearly killed her, the process would be gentle and controlled. Junho would guide it every step of the way, using his understanding of both human biology and the Keeper's nature. The transformation took 3 days. Hannah lay in a special chamber surrounded by the most advanced medical equipment. In the galaxy, doctors from every species monitored her condition. But the real work was being done by the three-way partnership between her, the Keeper, and Junho. When it was over, Hannah had become something unprecedented. She looked human, but her cells could process energy in ways that defied physics. Mind could access not just the Keeper's memories, but the collective knowledge of an entire civilization. Her hands could channel healing power that seemed like pure magic. But most importantly, she had retained her human heart. The compassion that had first attracted the Keeper to her was now amplified and enhanced, but never diminished.
How you
Feel? Junho asked when she finally opened her eyes. Complete, Hannah said. For the first time in my life, I feel complete. Over the following months, they established a new kind of medical practice. Hannah could heal the most difficult cases, but she also began training other humans to work with lesser aspects of the Keeper's power. Junho developed new medical theories that combined ancient builder knowledge with modern human understanding, but they did not work alone. The success of their methods had convinced other species to reconsider their own approaches to healing. Ethereal doctors began incorporating human emotional techniques into their light therapy. Resonant healers started using human musical concepts to improve their crystal harmonics. Even the proud Titan doctors began learning about the power of gentle compassion. We are creating something new, Junho said during a conference of galactic healers. Not just human medicine or alien medicine, but truly universal medicine. Medicine that works because it treats the whole being, not just the disease. The changes spread beyond medicine. Planets that had been at war began working together on healing projects. Species that had never trusted each other started sharing knowledge freely. The galaxy was becoming more connected, more cooperative, more compassionate. This is what the Builders dreamed of. The Keeper shared through Hannah during one of their daily meditations. A galaxy where everyone helps everyone else, where knowledge is shared freely, where no one suffers alone. But this time it is happening the right way, Hannah replied. Not through conquest or control, but through understanding and choice. As their ship prepared to leave Nexus Station for their next destination, Hannah and Junho stood at the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Do you ever regret your choice? Junho asked. Hannah considered the question. She had given up a normal human life. She would never marry or have children in the traditional way, would never grow old and die peacefully on Earth, but she had gained something that no human had ever possessed before. I regret nothing, she said finally. I have become something that can help heal an entire galaxy. I have memories of civilizations that span millions of years. I have felt the love and gratitude of countless beings who were given new life. How could I regret that? And besides, she added with a smile, I am not alone. I have you as my partner and friend. I have the Keeper as my constant companion. And I have the knowledge that everything we do makes the universe a little bit better. Commander Veltar's final log entry about their case read, Today, I have witnessed the birth of something new. Not just a new medical technique, but a new kind of being. The human Hannah has shown us that evolution is not just about becoming stronger or smarter. Sometimes it is about becoming more compassionate or connected, more willing to help others. The humans have taught us something we had forgotten, that the greatest strength is not in conquering others, but in healing them. That the highest technology is not in building machines, but in building bridges between hearts. I do not know what the future holds, but I know it will be brighter because of what these humans have accomplished. They have shown us that even the smallest act of kindness can change everything. That even when all hope seems lost, love can find a way. As their ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying them toward their next mission of healing, Hannah felt the Keeper's contentment flowing through their bond. After millions of years of waiting, it had found not just a host, but a true partner, Dazzar. With Junho and the growing community of healers they were training, they were making the ancient dream of universal peace and healing come true. The galaxy would never be the same. That was exactly what they had hoped for.